Hello, everybody. Welcome to CGU, Christ Grace Unlimited. And my name is Trust in Christ. And again, today is a good day. Today is a great day. Today is the day of the Lord. And just as we left off, we're not going to spend a lot of time recapping, but to be brief, last week's Bible study, where we concluded with Absalom's death, was a tragic death. And as we talked about at the end of our study, my brother Zebulon and, all the other people that talked with us, nobody wants to lose their son. And in David's case, he did not want to lose his son because he came from his own loins. He raised him, he, nourished in him, and he died. That's a great, strong love for a father like that to wish for his own death in place of his son. Let's briefly read the end of chapter 18 where we left off. And what we see in the previous chapter, Joab commanded through his armor bearers for Absalom to be killed. And pretty much Joab again tried to cover up the death of his son by telling him not to give, good tidings to the king. And he was rightfully so understood that if David found out that his son was dead, it will cause him to feel terrible. And when David perceived and understood that it was good tidings because only one person came back and then another one person came back, he knew that this wasn't a loss of battle because there's only one coming back and not a multitude of men fleeing. Oh, there must be good tidings. And when the news came back that his son died, what did David do? He mourned. And we see it right here. And the king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as the young man is, which is dead. Your enemies, and that young man that you told us not to touch, he's dead. And the king was much moved and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he wept, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son, Absalom, would God I had died for thee. O Absalom, my son, my son. See, the servants didn't discern that he's not just an enemy as they perceive it, someone that's trying to take out the king, but this is David's son. And as we continue on in chapter 19, we see that David is mourning when, most people perceive that he should be rejoicing because David was hiding in, the mountaintops. David had to flee. David's servants betrayed him, a lot of them. He was cursed, he was mocked, he had everything against him. And now your enemies that all took over your throne, now they're all gone. Chapter 19, verse 1. And it was told to Joab, and remember Joab is the one that told his armor bearers to take the life of Absalom when he was caught up in the oak tree. Behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that the day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as the people being ashamed to steal away when they flee into battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O my son Absalom, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons, and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines. And think about it. What did Absalom do to David's concubines that were keeping his home? He publicly had intercourse in front of all Israel with David's wives. When it was suggested by Abatar, not Abatar, when it was suggested by Hippophel, to take and kill his father, he was pleased. People within David's camp that heard of that, most likely told him that. And Joab, would have known of that too. How you as king in front of your people is mourning right after 24,000 men are dead. Why, King David? You need to get yourself together. You need to stop crying and at least put on a show and act like you're happy. Act like you're glad. Act like, you won over your tyrant enemy, Absalom. You're going to distress these people. They're happy. They're dancing. They want to see the king. They're the people that told you not to go on the battle and wait at the gates because they didn't want to die. They fought for you, and you're crying. You have shamed us. You have brought us to shame. We should be happy, not crying. Verse 6. In that thou lovest thine enemies and hatest thy friend. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, all the people that died, 24,000, that it had been pleased thee well. So if the roles were reversed and you would have been dead and all these men died in vain and we would be the ones fleeing, you'll be happy. Now therefore, verse 7, go forth and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night, that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. And that's common sense what Joab is saying right now. These people died for you. These people defended your name when the house of Saul was mocking you and said it was your time. One of your servants said, let's get rid of this loud talking idiot that's speaking against my king David. And you're going to mourn over your son's death? If you keep on doing this, you're going to lose your servants. They're not going to want to fight for you no more. They're not going to want to serve you no more. And they might overthrow you. They might overthrow you because of this. Because guess what? You look weak. Get yourself up, David, and speak comfortably to your house. Because your sons were at threat. Your wives were at threat. Everything was and even your life, David, was at threat. You keep doing this, you're going to lose it all, man. Verse 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate. And they told unto all the people, saying, behold, the king doeth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, the king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land of Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back into his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house. Remember, they anointed Absalom as a king, and now he's dead. Why are you the last? Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones, and my flesh. Wherefore, then are ye the last to bring back the king? And say ye to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone, and of my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if thou be not a captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. So pretty much David was welcomed out. Remember, David was pretty much outcasted by his son. And now, welcome back. And this is his own house. David is of the tribe of Judah. Verse 15. So the king returned and came to Jordan. And Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king and to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Jerah, a Benjamite, which was of Baram, hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin, and remember, Benjamin is on the side of Absalom. They hate Absalom they hate David because who took down the house of Saul? Partially David, not directly, but God took him down. And Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with them, and they went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Jerah, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan, and said unto the king, Let not my lord impute iniquity unto me. Neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should not take it to his heart. For thy servant doeth know what I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my Lord. Can you think about it? This man lied to David about Mephibosheth. This man, even though he gave him food, bread, stuff to drink for his household, people within, Saul's house cursed him that day. So think about it. What's in his mind? It's like, man, I thought I was on the winning side, but look who's alive. Oh, crap. He's going to have my head. Absalom got the numbers game. Let me stay on the safe side. Oh, guess who's back? This guy's going to have me killed. After all the stuff my house spoke against me, he's going to have me killed. Because I thought I was confident David was going to go down. This young, vibrant, and valiant ruler was on my side, and now the one that I claimed to be king, now he's dead. The best thing I can do, king, don't kill me. Don't kill my house. Don't. I know I might deserve it. I know I talk so much crap and then, crap, and guess what? Now you're back. Have mercy. Most people would have killed, them in typical fashion. That's what would happen. But David is different. Verse 21. But Abishai, the son of Jeriah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And that's true. He did curse the Lord's anointed. As we talk, he did spit upon him. And David said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Jeriah, that ye should this day be my adversaries unto me? There shall any man be put to death this day in Israel. For do I not know that I am the king over Israel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. And to be honest, the king is, the priest, Abiathar, he is correct. In typical fashion, these men would have died, but David, through God, showed him mercy in his house that partially conspired to kill him. Therefore the king said to Shimei, thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. And Mephibosheth, and this is, a great person, Jonathan's household, his son with lame feet, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. Now let's remember, when David left, Jerusalem to flee, what did Mephibosheth's servant say? Mephibosheth said that now the Lord has avenged my father's house, the house of Saul. Did Mephibosheth say such thing? No, the man was lying. And that's important to understand when you read scripture to get the context. Some people lie in scripture. The scriptures don't lie, but it's giving you the full story. Because what did David do to Mephibosheth? He gave him all of his father's inheritance. He gave him all the lands that belonged to Saul. And not only that, he treated him as a son, where he ate at the king's table as one of the princes with his lame feet. Typical fashion, someone like Mephibosheth would have been outcasted and would have been killed if his identity would have been found out. So David was hurt. This is someone that ate at my table. But in reality, let's look at what he did. It seems like he was supplicating. When David was gone, what happened to Mephibosheth? He never dressed his feet. He never trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. That's a sign of someone supplicating for someone. When a person fasts, when a person's supplicating, they typically don't groom themselves all the time. Sometimes they don't wash themselves. I'm saying sometimes. But it seems like he was distressed. And when we think about it, Mephibosheth's servant was trying to protect him because he didn't want Mephibosheth with his lame legs to go with the king in that state. So he might have been trying to protect him. I don't know. But regardless, it wasn't true. The truth was Mephibosheth still loved the king. Verse 25. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said unto him, wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? And think about it. He got all this energy towards Mephibosheth because he's like a son to him. This is Jonathan's son, a man that he loved as a brother. No homo, but as a brother, as a friend, someone that protected him when Saul was after his own life. a man that declared that he was going to be a king right after his own father, King Saul's stead. Why you ain't go with me? And he answered, my Lord, verse 26, my king, my servant deceived me, and this is true. For thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. All right, so his servant, he didn't tell him all that he said, but he's like, all right, I got a horse, a donkey, whatever it was, to get you out of here because your feet is lame. He didn't tell him all that other stuff he was going to say. In verse 27, and he hath slandered thy servant unto the Lord the king. So he put words in my mouth that I did not say. But the Lord the king is an angel of God, a messenger of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. So if you want to kill me, so be it. If you want to take my land, so be it. If you want to have mercy, so be it. Just think about it. You've been good to me as a father, David. 28. For all of my father's house were but dead men before the Lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant amongst them that did eat at thine own table. What right, therefore, have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, yea, let him take all, for as much as my lord king is come again in peace unto his own house. And that's some love right there. And think about it. He loved him as a father. David loved him as a son. What he was happy for and happy about, this man that showed much mercy and love to him. I'm just glad you're alive, David. I was worried. I was distressed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't even wash myself because I was concerned about you, because you were good to me. Even though most of my family died, before me. Verse 31. And Barzillai, the Gileadite, came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and he had provided the king substance while he laid at Mahanaim. For he was a very great man. And the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. I lost my place a little bit. Okay. I am this day 80 years old, and I can discern between good and evil. Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore, then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king. Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense me with such reward? Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the graves of my father and of my mother. But behold, thy servant of Shurham, let him go over with my lord the king, and to do him what seemeth good unto thee. And the king answered of Shurham, go over with me, and I will do to him which seemeth good unto me. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee. And all the people went over Jordan, when the king was come over, and kissed Barzillai, and blessed him. And he returned unto his own palace. So pretty much David is showing mercy to all that conspired against him. Then the king went to Gilgal and to Shurham, and went with them, and all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said unto the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away? Yeah, right. Y'all betrayed him. And have brought the king and his household, and all David's men with them over Jordan. And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is near of kin of us, because he is. That's where he came from. Wherefore, then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost? Or have he given any gifts? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, We have 10 tents in the king, and we have also more right in David than ye. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. We're going to end on that note. Put it simple, David's trying to get his kingdom back. He's doing it piece by piece. But one thing I want you to pay attention. How did David treat his enemies? He showed mercy. Didn't kill them. We're going to leave it on that note. And as we close this day, put it simple and put it short. Show mercy to your enemies. Do right. And just tell the truth. One thing that stuck out to me with this passage is Mephibosheth. He actually loved King David and just cared about his well-being. And that's one thing we ought to do, like when people are in distress for us. We got to pray for them. We got to learn to fast for them and wish for their well-being. Too often when our enemies fall and fail, we rejoice and get happy. And too often, when someone that we love, is in trouble, we just don't do nothing. We go along with the flow. But Mephibosheth was kept out of loot and probably eventually found out and was so distressed and was so happy and was willing to give it all up just to continue to be in the presence of the king. All right, we're going to close on that note. Any comments before we end?
I got a question.
Sure.
So what would you say is the balance between judgment and mercy?
In what sense?
I guess it's hard to say. I guess like say for David's situation maybe. What is that balance of, judgment and mercy? Like why not sentence, his enemies to death? Because because what if they turn around and try to conspire against him again?
Well, one thing you got to understand, with this is I'll say it like this. If David would have killed him, he wouldn't have been in the wrong. That would have been his choice. He would have did it to protect his kingdom. But in this case, David took another step and another mile. We got to look at it as a king. David is the king coming back into a nation that just declared his son as king. So you can pretty much look at it as his own people did not want him, when he came back. So to think about it tactically, one way to win the people back is to show mercy to the conspirators. Now that doesn't always work out because when you look into history, I know I'm bringing up Julius Caesar. When Julius Caesar didn't kill a lot of his enemies, a lot of the enemies he showed mercy to was the same ones that conspired and killed him. But if you're talking about biblical principle, like with Christ, like as a command, let me pull it up. We can look at Romans 7. No, no, not Romans 7. Romans uh, 12. No, when you're dealing with your enemies, and now this might be a little bit different when you're dealing from the position of a king. It's a lot different. And kings do show mercy, but you also got to protect your land and your people. So you do have to deal with your adversaries. But from man to man, or as a disciple of Christ, it says, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourself, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." Okay? And you see the principle: if your enemy hunger, feed him; if he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so, thou shalt heap coals on the fire on his head. So David would have been in the right either way. If he killed him, fine. But if he's trying to win his nation back, killing them off, all of his, sons, allegiances and all that, might have put the people in more distress, seeing that he was killing their very own people. It's not a guarantee, but there is a balance. So when it comes to dealing with enemies, you should show mercy. But in this case, self-defense is an actual principle. A lot of people say, say for instance, someone tries to attack, you're just going to give yourself to be attacked. But that's not really biblical. What did Christ tell his disciples? I'm trying to find the passage. I think I passed it up. Okay, here we go. Luke 22:36, because a lot of people say, well, if you're in military, if you're in leadership, or if you're a Christian, you ought not to take arms against your enemies. You should show mercy, but what if it's a situation where they're continuing to conspire against you to overthrow you? In that case, I'll say it's logical and it's not against God for you to take out these enemies. There's a balance to them. All right, Luke 22:36. Then he said unto him, but now he that have a purse, let him take it, likewise a scrip, and he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. There you go. And what did his disciples say? And they said, Lord, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. So is God against bringing judgment against people that are trying to take your life? Say, for instance, if a husband and his wife and children were in a land and someone was breaking into their house, and that man dies, by your hands, is that wrong for them to die, by your hands? No. The blood is on the conspirators' hands for trying to take your life. You see that in the law. Let me find it real quick. In the law, I think it's in Exodus, because I wasn't prepared for this type of question, but it's fine. Give me 1 second to look it up. No, it's in Exodus. I know it has to be after 21, because I know 21:18 they deal with slavery. Die, blood, hands. 1 second. Hands. Okay, 1 second. Thou shalt hands. Let me look up stealing. Okay, I can't find it. A man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it, sell it, restore such. 5. No, that ain't it. Give me a moment. Man die in the act. of stealing. King James Bible. Okay. Exodus 22, verse 2. Okay. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. Okay, so there you go. So that's dealing with a thief, that's dealing with a conspirator to steal or harm or kill you, because you got to think about it. Today, if a thief is caught and you're lying down and wait, what is the thief going to do? He's going to shoot you in the head and kill you so you won't get caught. So when it comes to perpetrators and we're dealing with natural things, you're going to defend your family, you're going to defend your people. And the way God pretty much puts it, someone that's attempting to take your life, you have grounds for self-defense. What the Bible is against is, murder. And in the aspect of kingship, a lot of people say, well, David is wrong for slaughtering and killing some of his enemies. But if these were conspirators, what do you think they're going to do? In most cases, a lot of them, they rise back up and try to kill you again once they have more power. So it just, with your question is a great question. It just depends. Like, are you like Saul? Let's compare it. Are you like Saul, who was seeking David's life for no reason at all, just out of jealousy? Or are you like David, where you're, not seeking the life of someone, out of jealousy, but you might take people out that previously tried to take your life? It's a complete difference. One is premeditated and one is in defense of his kingdom. If you're a weak kingdom, you allow all your enemies to do as they please and you're just going to die. Did I answer your question at all?
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? All right. The CGU is brought to you by the Bible.
The Bible.
All right. God bless you guys. Until next time. Peace.